MouseHunt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is November, what day is it? 14. There we go. November 14, 2025. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Sorry, I had a little bit of difficulty getting logged in to be able to click the button to go live there. I got logged out, and it took me a little bit of time to figure out how to log back in and go jump through a few hoops involved in doing so. Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Jason in the chat, Summer, hello to you. Andrish says finally Dio, hey, welcome on in. The pulsating pigeon is excited, pulsating with excitement, I bet. Peter, welcome on in. No, it is not April Fool's Day. Here we are. Thanks for bearing with me there. Scratching Dude, welcome on in. You're just imagining me bopping my head to the song while sipping coffee. Well, that is an important part. You know, that'll remind me. Just like Lady Nutsy there's putting a coffee emoji. You better take a sip. Hello, KDM. Nice to see you. Zapke, welcome on in. Joel, a big howdy right back at you. Greetings from Scotland, says Mama Hugs. Well, greetings from Canada on this side of the Atlantic. How was your coffee, SQ? That was pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's hitting the spot. It's hitting the spot. Well, today, as often as Feedback Friday comes up, we mull over a little bit. Well, what could be a good topic to discuss? An event season is up and running. It's underway with the Halloween event. We collected some feedback about the Halloween event, but also we're discussing a little bit about what's coming next, and that is the Treasure Map Mega Party. So I think we confirmed the date as well last time, but to reiterate it, it's going to begin on Wednesday, November 19. Last 1 week, it's kind of some feedback we had from last year that it, might be fun for a little bit, but there's also a bit of a stressful element to it of having to keep up that pace for a little bit too long. When you're really excited to make the most of something. So we thought, maybe that might be a good way to address some of that feedback. Shorten it to 1 week, so it'll end on November 26th. And if you don't recall how the map party works, or it's your first time for the Treasure Map Mega Party, as it's only the second time we've run it, the map capacity for most maps is doubled, and it is pretty well all the maps except solo maps and wanted posters. I think that's a fairly succinct way to say what the exceptions are. Hopefully I'm not missing anything as well. So it will last 1 week, comes to an end November 26th. At that point, anyone who's on the map, they stay on the map. It's just you won't be able to invite more hunters beyond the normal capacity. So if you have a map that normally can hold 5 people, you're going to be able to invite 10. But if there's 8 people on the map when the event comes to an end, then those 8 people finish the map. You kind of lose those 2 bonus slots, if that's a way to think about it. Ice, it's midnight your time. Good morning as well. There we go. Yeah. When it's 12:01, when it's just past midnight, is it still the evening or is it morning? I don't know. Maybe you get a different answer if you ask your heart or your head there. There's a MouseHunt Christmas movie, eh? I don't know. I haven't heard of that one. Hey. Anders, you're excited for Froma Rift deletion news, eh? I think the Froma Rifts are a fairly popular area. You can do a little bit of a trivia lookup. Oops, there's something else to log into here. Let's see how many hunters are in the Froma Rift. Can we get logged in to look that up? Friday's just the day to be logging into everything, apparently. It's a little bit skewed right now as Halloween has come to an end. Let's take a look. I don't know. Let's go all the way back to June 1st until today. Let's see where the Froma Rift ranks. 2% of hunters in that time span. 1 in 50 hunters have hunted in the Froma Rift. That's a little lower than I would have guessed. I was going to guess that'd be a little bit higher. I thought we'd see double digits. Vortex, welcoming in. Good morning to you as well. Scratching you just 1 week. Well, again, as always, we'll keep our ear to the ground. When the map party comes to a close, we often try to summarize a lot of feedback and sentiments from players, and then we tuck that away in some of our project management software and schedule that to review before the next time we would repeat that event as well. So, we'll try out a weekend, see what hunters think, and we'll keep a close eye on feedback, jot down some notes, and like I said, this is a little bit of a response to feedback from last year that 2 weeks started to feel like it was almost too many maps to try to try to keep on doing, and I think that makes sense. There's a natural inclination when there's a time limit on something to really try to make the most of it is part of the fun. But I think that type of fun is best done in small doses. Otherwise, you kind of burn out a little bit. So maybe short and sweet might be the best approach here. But we'll give it a go and see how things work out and what sort of sentiments we see from players. Potato, you think 1 week may create even more of rush and stress? And that's a possibility as well. So like I said, we'll keep a close eye on how things play out. Diamond, if you already have a map started, do the map slots appear for additional players? Yes, they should. They should just open up, and it basically just changes the maximum number. So you can start a map ahead of time, and you will be able to invite more hunters once the event starts. It's a good time as well. November 19, that's just coming up next week. Make sure check your inventory for scroll cases if you have a few maps in mind that you might want to tackle. Or if you're the type to do kind of round robins with a group of friends, take turns opening each scroll case. Maybe touch base, see what all your map mates, what scroll cases they have lined up as well. Cutie, any new content for the map party this year? Not so to speak. No, I think some of the charms of the map party as well is it just makes the existing stuff there feel a little bit fresh and different for, have fun with the same thing in a different way for a short period of time. And two, just from kind of a road mapping and resource perspective as well, it's a nice way to add something exciting to look forward to, but without taking up hours of dev time that we can use on some other things. And maybe that's a good segue to look a little bit past the map party into the next event, which is the Great Winter Hunt, which we've been working away on for the past several weeks. In fact, just now we're starting to test everything, starting to do a little play testing, QA, looking for bugs, that sort of thing. So the Great Winter Hunt's taking good shape. That is scheduled to start on December 9. And there'll be a new trap, a new base, and a new journal theme to earn. The trap and the base are going to be on the reward track, similar to years past. The journal theme is a reward for completing the adventure. I don't know why I'm unsure as I say that out loud now, about why I'm doubting myself, but I'm fairly confident it's an adventure reward. Hopefully I'm not making a grave error there. Of course, you can expect the golem rewards will be updated for the Afterward Acres and Epilogue Falls. There'll be some rewards to find there. That might be an interesting Feedback Friday topic. A little bit closer to the start of the Great Winter Hunt, maybe we can demo some of those golems. Seems to be something we usually do most years as well. You can expect from the acres things like the literary logs, a chance at planks, a few materials here and there. Epilogue Falls is what we try to give everything its own unique identity as well. So there's a little bit of variety of beyond just the core stuff, what else you might be looking for to find whether you send your golems to the acres or the falls. Additionally, with every Great Winter Hunt as well, we write down feedback and sentiments and see what the feedback was like from last year. We record that, tuck it away for next year, and we review all the golem rewards as well. So one thing we're looking at there is because Dragon Ashes are a new item, incorporating those into the potential rewards your golems can find should you send them to the Draconic Depths as well. And, to that effect as well, we look over all the other areas, which ones were popular to spend golems to, which ones were a little less popular, which feedback, suggestions, sentiments, and impressions players shared from the golem rewards. And we kind of look at all the areas, at least a cursory glance to see if there's anything that could be tuned, adjusted, or changed a bit. Going back to the map party there, Ralph in the chat's asking, will there be a rare map dust deal for the map party? Yes, the very popular 20 for 20 rare map dust will return, as well as it is, what's it called? The Rare Crafters Mapping Kit? That's not the name of it. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Let me see what the name is. I've got it somewhere. Where did I jot that down? I know I had it in front of me not too long ago. The Rare Map Dust Crafters Kit. There we go. I knew I had that open on another screen. So those will both be making a return with the map party as well. I will say this year we didn't quite have time to do some new skins. The art team has been quite busy with a whole lot of other art going on as well. So kind of the map party is a little bit more of a short, sweet, little more low-key event, something to look forward to. Hopefully still something fun to do for a week or so, but the dev and the art teams have both been putting some of their effort into some other projects as well. One being the Great Winter Hunt. I believe Jacob was drawing that base. You can see down there he was illustrating that during an art edition of Feedback Friday as well. It has a little bit of a winter theme, maybe a little bit of a rift theme going on there too. It's hard to say. Scratch and Dude thinks 2 weeks is a sweet spot, but we'll have to see. Good to know. Like I said, we'll kind of keep an eye on how the map party plays out. Andres is excited for a trap base and a journal theme. The journal theme is kind of, it's cute this year. I like it. I didn't want to even spoil the art by having a little preview of it here. A fun little surprise to arm it for the first time, but it's warm and cozy. And yet a little chilly and festive as well at the same time. I don't know. It has a nostalgia vibe to me or something. I don't know. It just makes you feel warm inside even when it's cold outside. Pulsating asking, is the trap affordable for returning pigeons, you mean players, eh? From Pulsating Pigeon in the chat. Hey, it's the festive season. It's the gift giving season. Those items that you earn on the reward track, they're free. I mean, they technically cost time, if you want to look at that way. You do need to progress the reward track. That's the vast majority of players do progress the reward track quite far during the Great Winter Hunt. It's a bit of a longer event. That's also why we position those items a little earlier on the track. They're not the 10th and final reward. That's a little bit of above and beyond bonus to get, but just in case, you're a little bit busy during the winter hunt, you don't have time to hunt as much as you normally do. We purposely put some of those limited edition rewards a little earlier on the track, so they're not the final above and beyond stretch goal, if you will. They're a little bit more expected. Everyone should be able to get this if you're showing up sounding your horn and just getting your trap checks, going on a hunt now and then, that sort of thing. Dio also asking, should I save my gold for the new trap? Give me a hint, eh? Well, there you go. That's applicable to your question as well. They do not cost any gold whatsoever. So as long as you're playing the Great Winter Hunt, you send out golems, and there's a reward track that progresses every time you send out a golem, or rather every time you claim a golem's reward. The golem has to come back. It progresses that track. And this year, I think the max was 90. We rounded that up to 100 this year. Hopefully that doesn't ruffle any pigeon feathers out there or otherwise. We thought that was a bit easier of a number to remember, a bit more of a meaningful milestone to put the last thing. That said, those limited edition rewards, they're earlier on the track. You don't earn them right at the end. Scratch and Dude's looking forward to mapping during the Great Winter Hunt. Looks like, the naughty and the nice list will both be making a return. Summer's looking forward to the map party and stocking up on some rare map dust. Yeah, it is a good time of year to do it, that's for sure. Torto liked this year's Halloween journal theme. It's hard to decide. There's quite a few themes now. Sometimes I have a hard time deciding which one to arm. But during the event season, sometimes the event ones are a good one to pick. Get you in the mood. Hot chocolate related journal theme. Jedi, it's not hot chocolate related. That's an awfully cute idea. Maybe we better write that down as a potential suggestion for next year. I don't know if we've done a hot chocolate theme before. And Cutie asking when the Great Winter Hunt will end, eh? So it will be in January, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. And me remembering dates is my Achilles heel here, but I believe it is January 6th. I'm doing that purely from memory. Let me take a quick look at a calendar. Because essentially, we take a holiday break, close things down for a little bit, and then we return after New Year's Day being a holiday. We'd have the day off. I think we are planning to return on the 5th, get things back up and running there. So I'm pretty sure the 6th is when it's scheduled for the shutdown phase to begin. And just like years past, the event enters a shutdown phase, and you have 1 week where you can't get any more golem parts, but you can keep sending out and claiming the golems, use up some bells. You can convert extra parts into bells. So it's a way to use up the last of your resources for that week of shutdown. Potato, you haven't finished the falls yet. Make sure I will have a reason to go back there after the winter hunt. Don't make the golems too good, eh? For sure, there's a bit of a balancing act there as well, especially with some newer areas. It's feedback we've kept a close eye on as well of of trying to find a good balance between the event being rewarding and yet the area as well still feeling rewarding, not to diminish the sense of accomplishment or diminish accomplishments that you've already made. That's the way to phrase it as well. So, that's feedback we've kept an eye on as well. And hopefully our goals to find a good balance with the golden rewards there. That said, the Acres and the Falls are just the first part of that finale chapter, and that might be a great transition into talking a little bit about Conclusion Cliffs. Because if all goes well, our goal is to release this in January next year, when the Great Winter Hunt comes to an end. Obviously, it wouldn't be while the Winter Hunt is still active, so it would require the Great Winter Hunt to be coming to an end. But our goal is to wrap things up and have the Conclusion Cliffs ready to launch in January, right at the start of the year. Great way to start 2026. It's going to be a law area, as we've said in the past, utilizing 3 types of cheese. One of the types of cheese will be plotting paneer. So, I'm just thinking about the Winter Hunt, getting some items, even returning to the Falls and the Acres. They play a role in how the Cliffs works. You kind of naturally go back to the Acres and the Falls to get hooks to make plotting paneer, to take that to Conclusion Cliffs, and when you run out, you're back to the Acres and the Falls. So it's all kind of all part of a bigger loop going on. There's more than 40 new mice in the Cliffs, and that is what I mentioned earlier. The art team has been awfully busy. They've been awfully busy illustrating a whole bunch of fun characters for the Conclusion Cliffs, and it is over 40 new mice in the Conclusion. And thought, well, it kind of wraps up some storylines, adds some closure here, so it made sense. Feels appropriate for it to be a big scale release, at least in terms of mice. 4 new unique rewards to earn. One of those is, which may not come as a surprise, is the Rainbow Diamond Refactor base. I believe Jacob's done some illustrating on an art edition of Feedback Friday as well. And I don't know if there's maybe a few finishing touches still to come, but you can see the base below me there. So that's as you'd expect, that's an upgrade for the Opal base. That'll be kind of the final reward for Conclusion Cliffs. You can unlock another upgrade for the Refactor series base. Will require you to have the Opal base to be able to upgrade it into the Rainbow Diamond Refactor base. Similar to the other Refactor series bases, it's going to have special effects. It'll have an effect in the Acres, an effect in the Falls, and an effect in the Cliffs. And because this is kind of earned in the final area in the Folklore Forest, maybe it's a little bit above and beyond, but it's also going to have a global special effect that'll help you no matter where you're hunting in the game, depending on your setup, what your goals are. It may not always be something that you're particularly interested in or sought after, but depending on what you've got going on in your resources, there'll be some other times where I think you'll appreciate the effect going off as well. And like I said, we're aiming to have everything wrapped up in January. Things are looking good. We've been play testing it. We have the heads-up displays all finished. I've got all the rewards in place, all the mice and points and gold, loot drops, all that fun stuff. We've been play testing a lot, tweaking, tuning, and what have you. But there's still many mice illustrations that need to be finished. So that's kind of what the art team has had their head down, working hard on for the last month and into December. They'll be doing some mouse illustrations. We have pretty well everything else ready to go. We got to plug in those mice and definitely keep playtesting and make sure we're happy with everything. But it looks like we're on track. I'm optimistic that the Conclusion Cliffs can become a hunting location for hunters to visit in January 2026. Barring some unforeseen consequence, some unforeseen challenge coming up that might postpone things. But it's a little tricky during event season otherwise to find another good window to have it come out. Scratching Dude is thinking finally some law codices, eh? You spotted a little teaser up there. Yeah, indeed, there's a book with the law icon on there. I wonder what that could be, with there being 4 unique rewards to earn and there being a codex-looking book with a law logo on it. What could that be? I think Scratching Dude might be onto something there. There are a lot of fun literary characters throughout the whole region as well. So as you imagine, with more than 40 new mice, there'll be some fun new literary characters to discover. Vortex can't wait to read all the descriptions, see all the artwork. Yeah, absolutely. As the whole art team has done a fantastic job putting together some awfully interesting characters. And, Norm always knocks those descriptions out of the park as well. Scrib, is there a hidden dungeon behind the waterfall, perhaps involving complex puzzles, eh? We thought there's a bit of a hidden mouse already in the falls, but hunters were pretty quick to tackle that challenge as well. So there was, often in many RPGs, you think you see a waterfall. There's probably something hiding behind that waterfall. But hunters were able to unlock that secret pretty quickly, I think. I should have had some water with coffee as well. It always makes a good accompaniment. I'm getting caffeine jitters going a little bit. Good thing I don't have any surgeries booked for this afternoon yet. Hands aren't too steady. Diamond, the base looks awesome, doesn't it? And I think that, it turned out fantastic. The work Jacob put into the base as well. I'm seeing as it's kind of the, it's the ultimate base of the region. You've been upgrading this base at many steps along the way. Think about where that journey started in the floating islands. And, part of the intention there as well was to add an alternative path. You've got the Prestige base as an incredibly powerful, useful base. But the Valor Rift isn't everyone's cup of tea. Many hunters absolutely love it. It's one of the most popular areas of all time. But, not everyone's kind of likes taking on that challenge of upgrading their Prestige base and all that comes with it. So we wanted to provide an alternative path, another competing base. This base and the Prestige base sit side by side, and they require very different types of extreme effort. The journey to make this base, especially if you think all the way back when you had to start from scratch, it's quite the journey, but you make incremental progress as you go, and you're asked to accomplish many different feats along the way, whereas the Valor Rift is a little bit more linear. You're building up some upgrades, and then you know what the goal is, and there's going to be some randomness involved in that goal, and you're going to take some stabs at it and see how far you get. I think some hunters like that excitement of knowing that, it's not capped. Who knows just what the unlocked potential of this base could eventually be if I just make it a few floors higher. Does the global special effect include the Rift? It doesn't have anything necessarily specific to do with Rift, but again, too, something, we like to kind of see what players' sentiments are. Even a little bit of speculation is sometimes useful. We keep our ear to the ground, and then as we're playtesting and tuning things, that helps us make a few final decisions on things as well. So, that's sometimes we don't mean to be too cryptic, but not go into too much detail, because it's interesting to see what creative ideas that sparks in the community as well, and often that provides a little inspiration, insight, or guidance to help us either just tune something, take it in a little different direction, or maybe even change our mind and kind of rehash things a little bit. So it's typically something that we go into more detail closer to it actually being released, when we're very unlikely to change it. Potato, have you considered adding another cosmetic based on its own loot drop for the cliffs? You really like the design of Valor Rift. The skins until the patterns got added to the golems as well. There is something a little bit on our radar, not so much for the cliffs, but maybe exploring trap skins and kind of how to utilize those. There's been a few different approaches over the years, like you pointed out, the Valor Rift. There's definitely very fancy skin to be found in the Draconic Depths as well. So it's something maybe we can have our radar for things past the cliffs. Peter says, bring on the new mice. Look at that, more than 40 new crowns to earn. KDM, you wonder what the Prestige base level equivalent is for this base. That's something interesting too, to just see what overall sentiments and expectations from players are. That's definitely something we're keeping our ear to the ground as well. Like I said, the Valor Rift, it's a living, breathing thing. The Prestige base can technically always become a little bit more powerful as well. And I think that's part of the fun of MouseHunt, and any game that gets regular updates, it evolves, changes over time. The universe is always changing, and you're finding new ways to accomplish new things that you thought never possible before. Jason asking, any new best in slot law traps? I'll say this. There might be something on the screen related to a trap. I know there's a base on the screen that's pretty obvious, but there might be an obscured somehow you might be looking at a trap right now. But it's a little tricky to figure out exactly what sort of trap you're looking at. But I'll put it that way. That was a pretty obvious spoiler. Oh well, what are you going to do? Pigeon, for hunters stuck at the table of contents. Yeah, I don't see you're stuck there. That's where your journey is currently at. That's all. Would it be more rewarding to fully commit to Great Winter Hunt, or half of Great Winter Hunt, half to opening the map? I'm not sure what map you're referring to, but unless you mean the treasure map mega party there. But, generally speaking, the Great Winter Hunt is a great time to pick up some resources in a new way. All your friends are usually all in the same region helping you hunt. It's a time where everyone's a little bit more active as well. Depending on the nature of the areas, it's a different way to earn the same resources, so it adds nice variety. Depending on the area, I think one thing that a lot of players like about the winter hunt is it's kind of a more passive way. You got to check in and be sending out your golems regularly and make some decisions on where do you want to use your scarves and your hats and what have you. But there's other areas that require you to do a little bit more active player. You got to keep a little closer eye on it to really maximize your chances of success. Whereas the winter hunt is like, okay, you don't really need to keep as much of an eye on it, and especially considering the timing and nature of the event as well. It's probably good that it's an event that you can play a little bit more passively, as you might be a little busier in real life at the same time as well. So, everyone's preferences are a little bit differently, but generally speaking, I think you'd be better off at the winter hunt. You probably have more friends to hunt with, and you're able to more passively hunt just in case you get busy one day and there's an opportunity cost, not to overthink things a little bit and make it sound like work. Scratching, dude. No, you know what? I'm going to confirm the base does not need 10 mythical dragon hearts. In fact, the rainbow base itself does not need a heart, although it is an upgrade for the opal base. So at some point, you're going to need a heart. But purchasing the rainbow base, no, you do not need any more hearts to purchase that. I think the use of heart is is in an okay spot. It doesn't need any more things you can buy with hearts. Ralph, will the conclusion cliffs come with a grand tour map? No, I think that's maybe an idea that we'll keep in the idea bank for just a little bit longer. There was a point where we were considering doing that, but just in time constraints and everything, sometimes it's tricky. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew at once. So we're already pretty busy with all the mouse illustrations. So no, although it's a big region, a grand tour map sounds awfully fun. Probably needs a little bit more time to really think on that and find a good, fun, creative way of putting that together. Demon Eyes might be onto something there. Got some guests in the chat. The hammer, the mallet, This will be a useful item to consume. This is a consumable item that you'll be able to use in the conclusion cliffs. And it has a fun name. There's unlimited room for puns in any sort of writing-based. But definitely be smashing something. It's not your hunter's hammer. It's its own hammer. Vortex, any plans to add an area where you actually traverse the Rodentia Ocean? Something like a train ride, some loose plans of how we may explore that ocean. Who knows? There's got to be something on the other side of that ocean, I've always thought. I've always wondered what would be across the Rodentia Ocean if we were to be able to navigate those uncharted waters. Surely there's got to be some new powerful mysteries to uncover over there. Yeah, Scratching Dude, I'm glad you caught on there. Whoa, watch out. 40 mice will be huge. Zokor also have 40 to compare with. The Sunken City was the reigning champion for a while. I think Floating Islands maybe still takes the cake for just the most mice in one area, especially when you take in the Empyrean Sky Palace update. The new base is so beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes the most fun part of getting a new base is just trying out a few different traps too and seeing what it looks like. There's always some really good combos that pop up depending on just the aesthetics of the base. That's for sure. Potato, do you already have a taste for where we'll go after the conclusion? We're talking French fries, baked potatoes? No, I guess content-wise. Yeah, we should always have a little bit new episodic content kind of just in the pipeline, on the back burner, on the idea banks, kind of bubbling away a little bit. A simmering stew, if you will, to walk by and give it a taste, see if it's ready to serve. So, yeah, of course, we try to plan a few releases ahead, just the more detail into things that are a little bit more immediate. Thought it was an upgrade to the Onyx Mallet. That's gathering dust, That's a blast from the past. That even has a Chrome version. I think that's one of the Chrome traps that is not an upgrade. I think Ronza just sold the Chrome Mallet trap. KDM, looking at the sleuth eye, spotted a little bit of a rainbow tinted chain back there. Okay, you might be onto something, KDM. scratch into some suggestions. I always gotta be a little bit careful with the real world theming and connection there. There's a fine line to walk, I think, depending on what the theme is. Max wants to visit the moon. I did hear it's made out of cheese. So. Guru asks if releasing in January, does that mean Lunar New Year and birthday spring account will include finale part 2 items? Generally speaking, yes. I mean, we typically update the events to include areas that have come out. So we're talking about the winter hunt. Of course, you'd expect to be able to send your golems to the acres in the falls. And we also added ashes as something the golems can find in the draconic depths. So similarly, with the cliffs coming out in January, you're going to be able to utilize it during, you'll be able to visit there during Lunar New Year to utilize your lantern as you'd expect. The birthday event as well, kind of when we sit down and hash out a few of the details, that's usually the first question that comes up is what areas exist that didn't exist the last time this event took place. And typically we incorporate it in one way or another. LOL asking if the base will require rainbow nibs. We're still firming up the cost, but it's probably safe to assume it would not need nibs. But sometimes it's fun to say that out loud in case a player has an amazing suggestion or reason why nibs might be a fun cost, but I don't think that's part of the plan at the moment. Will there be a grand tour map? Nicholas is also asking. So not at the moment. It's definitely a fun idea, but we need a little bit more time to kind of think through things on the creative side. Deco's asking fellow hunters if you think I can finish the Labyrinth, Zokor, and Mousu Picchu to unlock the floating islands before the winter hunt, assuming you started today. You got your work cut out for you, but, never say never. I bet you it's theoretically possible. It's theoretically possible. Let me see. You got to make a Minotaur key, so you got to do 3 Labyrinth runs. If you don't even have the Labyrinth base to kind of help block those dead ends, it might be a little tricky. The Labyrinth, I think, is probably the biggest challenge ahead of you. Scrib is covering the eyes from spoilers, eh? Well, the base, I feel like that's fair game because Jacob was illustrating it on Feedback Friday. You can always expect a spoiler or two. And the background, it doesn't do justice for the item that is being very vaguely portrayed behind me, as it looks pretty awesome. I'm excited to arm that. Anders, please say there'll be a temporary Lunar New Year embargo on the cliffs, eh? We'll see. It's something that we'd be interested to see what overall hunter sentiments are. It's something we really haven't done. I don't know if it's strictly necessary, but I can understand some of the sentiment and rationale there. I thought, what time is it? We're running a little long. We're just over a half hour. I guess I did get a bit of a late start today. But I also wanted to take a little bit of a sneak peek because I feel like when I was sitting down and thinking about the map party, winter hunt, conclusion cliffs, it got me in the road mapping mood. And often it's something we do maybe a little closer to the end of the year, if not at the start of a new year. And we think a little bit ahead of what's everybody working on it, road mapping wise as well. And the whole team has been rather busy on stuff that maybe hasn't seen the light of day, but it's because it's been some research-based stuff. You can almost think experimental. It's things that I don't quite know when or if players will see, but I thought we've taken a little bit of a look at this before to get some sentiments, and it's things that a whole chunk of the dev team has been putting effort into a little bit of research and experimental stuff as well, like the trap selector. What could be a better version of the trap selector? Kind of the culmination, a lot of feedback, sentiments, notes we've kept over the years that we haven't been able to act upon due to technical limitations in the past. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at a little sneak peek, a little behind the scenes of some of this stuff, even if I don't quite know when players will see it, but to get overall impressions, see what players are excited about, see if we're on the right track, see if we're on to something, anything there as well. So a little look at some trap selector work that has a little research that's been going on to better highlight, what mice can I attract at the moment? What's my overall chance to catch as well? Putting ideas into tables. You could see different encounter rates when you arm your cheese, seeing this kind of animate and change a little bit. You know, if this is something players find interesting or exciting as well. Ralph asking, will there be stockings in the Great Winter Hunt? So there will be profile trees. We did away with the stockings, unless I'm mistaken. Now, I just had a panic in the back of my head thinking, like, am I way out to lunch on that? So that's going on a note to test that out. But I'm pretty sure we did away with the stockings. There were some technical challenges maintaining them. Scratch and Dude thinks it looks pretty neat, looks interesting. Dio, you did your best since you watched feedback for, I got 2 red boxes, missed a mouse. Getting a little DHU in the labyrinth. I believe in you, Dio. See how close you can get. If not, hey, if nothing else, maybe you can get Mouse Pichu unlocked, you know? There you go. Michelle's confirming there were no team stockings. I think there was some technical challenges, and although it was a cute, different version of the tree, just kind of the effort that went into trying to get them to work the way they should, and considering you can send your teammates gifts under the tree, that was kind of the compromise we ended up with to be able to spend some time on some other things as well. But I think we've looked a little bit at this trap selector concept before. But some other things that we're looking at. Some feedback that often players have is wanting to be able to see skins that you don't own. Maybe you arm a trap and skins that you can discover what other trap skins exist for this particular trap. A way to kind of look at them as, which ones have you collected, which ones have you not. A way to preview it as well. Is this even a skin I'm interested in pursuing? Is that the type of feature? Is that good ideas to be incorporating right into the trap skin selector? This is something that Dev Aaron has been putting a lot of great work into as well to experiment a bit and see how this would turn out. Peter, the assassin's on holiday. Are you trying to crown the assassin mouse? She's a tricky one, that's for sure. Cutie, what would be the timeline for a big overhaul? We can't really even say for sure, but we've been doing a little bit of behind the scenes, a lot of technical work, a lot of things that players won't necessarily notice for a while. But it's kind of overhauling engines to be able to, or better tools to be able to build more creative things, both a little bit quicker and just open up more opportunities to create things that players would like to see that at the moment, due to technical limitations, just not impossible, but certainly not feasible. It just would take so long to build with the existing tools that, we can't really tackle them. Pulsating Pigeon, you've been away for 8 years from MouseHunt. You find the floating island and the farm to table really exciting. Well, glad to have you back. Glad to have been finding some of the new areas exciting as well. The floating island is definitely a very popular area. It's withstood the test of time. It's interesting to see which areas really just stick out and maintain their popularity and their excitement over the course of years. Bravado got their Chrome Celestial Distance just yesterday. Well, congratulations. That's a good trap. Michelle, you have to rebuild the house before you can decorate it, eh? Well, the foundation's been laid. Even the framing's gone up, I wonder, but the plumbers and the electricians need to show up. We need some plumbing and some electrical, I think, yeah. And the drywallers have to come, then the mudders, yeah, painters, yeah, do some trim, lighting. There you go, yep, Giorgio, that's my metaphor of choice. I don't know why. Often when we're programming something, I'll compare it to building a house. And you gotta do things in a certain order, right? You gotta get the foundation laid. Right? You can't do a foundation, then build a room on top of the foundation. Okay, that's the bedroom, everyone. Now it's time to build the living room. So excavate a hole next to the bedroom, pour another foundation. No, you do it in phases. You do it in phases and steps, and you're not done till you're done. Diamond, are there any plans to overhaul tournaments? So nothing in the immediate future, but I will say some of this research, some of this behind-the-scenes technical effort that we're putting into, and we've got our fingers crossed that will all work out, is to enable things like that. A lot of things that players want to see that are very difficult for us to prioritize due to technical limitations or just not having the right tools. Imagine if you want a really fancy dresser built, but all you have is like a manual hand saw and a chisel. That's all you got. It's a lot of effort to build that dresser. Or as soon as you have a table saw, a miter saw, a circular saw, you've got a belt sander, you've got one of those little wood pens you can carve things into wood with. All of a sudden, it's a lot easier to build that dresser everyone would like. But what else can we look at? I like to share some work in progress because all the great effort of many devs on the team. Even thinking about ways to better organize your inventory, how to group things together in ways that players probably expect them to be grouped together, but are a bit challenging to group together without some new tools. Things like airship cosmetics, being able to see them all in one spot, which sets you've completed, which ones you haven't, what they all look like if they were to be assembled without having to actually equip all those cosmetics. Similarly, codices, when you think about it as well, they kind of get grouped up a little bit. They tend to be these subjective goals that you pursue at similar times as well. You can see the Codex of Valor, grouping all those together. You see how many pages you've unlocked. The Folklore Motif Index is another. It's a set of codices, although it spans a bunch of power types. Odds are, as soon as you get one of those, you're within striking distance of getting them all. It's a goal that wouldn't be unreasonable to set for yourself. So there's a little bit of subjectivity creeping in there as well. But I'd like to kind of share a little bit of brainstorming, some ideation, even see what conversations that sparks in and amongst players. That often helps provide us with some inspiration. A little bit of clarity helps guide us in the decision-making process as well. Bravado likes organizing the codices. Saw, sander, circular sand, belt saw. Yeah, Roger, I think you got your tools a little backwards there. I don't know, somebody must have shook the tool bag a bit. Well, come on in. Jonathan just finished work. Well, hope you had a good time at work. Hope you had a good day. What else? Do I have anything else? This is a bit more of a creative spin on something that exists in the game. It's been interesting over the years seeing just how much players interact with that 36-hour hunting log, especially during the spring egg hunt. And the history of that feature is an interesting one. I think that was put together on a whim one afternoon 17 years ago. And there it remained, basically, in that state. But again, it's put together in a way that it's very hard to make it any more powerful. Changing the way it works requires a tremendous amount of effort. So a little bit of technical research into, well, given new tools and given a bit of a blank slate, how could we better present those hunting logs? And it's 36 hours, which was a bit of a random pick of time. It would probably make more sense if they were daily reports and a field report. So you log in, you can see what happened yesterday. How well did I do? How many mice did I catch? How many did I miss? What loot did I find along the way? Even ideas like trying to categorize that loot. If right now there's cheddar cheese and a prospector's charm and a power charm, none of those are particularly special. But if you looted something that's a little out of the ordinary, could we highlight it there? Because often that's something, feedback we get from players is, it was on a trap check, or a friend brought me on a hunt at 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that, and I was in bed, and something really cool happened, and I missed it. I didn't go back in my journal to check. Something to try to take some of that, do some of that effort for you and help highlight, like something cool happened that maybe you missed. Think about, say, a Black Widow mouse. It's still kind of cool every time you catch one, to a degree anyway. If you catch a rare mouse, the nugget mouse, a shelder, you might miss it if it was on a trap check. Could we utilize those hunting summaries and some sort of daily report that would pop up to highlight the things that maybe you missed while you were away? Even newer players, somewhat a source of confusion at the beginning of the game are just how trap checks work. Often, every once in a while, a player will say, "My cheese is gone. What happened? I didn't even hunt with it," not realizing that, well, once an hour you are going on a hunt and that's consuming your cheese. You went to bed, you wake up 8 hours later, and there's 8 pieces of cheese missing because 8 mice came and visited your trap automatically. Rob, welcome back. You first started playing on Facebook all those years ago. Love it, and you've been glad to hear you've been loving it and starting again. I'll see if you are playing on Facebook, and important, and we want to kind of ramp up a little bit of the messaging here as the years go by, but Facebook is planning to no longer have web games. They're going to have games, but not web games on Facebook. They kind of want more arcade style interactive stuff, not stuff that's necessarily the genre of MouseHunt. So they're doing away with web games. They've kind of told us that type of game can't be on their platform. So it's important to go to mousehuntgame.com or just mousehunt.com if that's a bit easier to remember, and that'll forward you to mousehuntgame.com. You can log in with your Facebook account there, though, to keep on playing. You can make a username and password, so you don't even need to log in with Facebook anymore, as well as the mobile app as well. But as far as we know, they're not going to do away with the ability to log in with Facebook on a website. It's just plain literally embedded within Facebook. They don't want web games there anymore. That's a bit of a side note, bit of a tangent. Signed by Larry. That was a cute detail. Oh, I don't want to give credit to the wrong person here, but it was an awfully cute idea that came up on the team. I don't even want to say one of the devs' names in case I say the wrong one. I can't quite, it's hard sometimes reading. Reading and speaking shuts off your memory shortly, even though I probably remember who it was. I'm not confident, I think, as my mental capacities already get overloaded reading chat and speaking out loud. I don't know. I don't know what that means for my brain capacity, but it is what it is. Pulsating Pigeon, you like the caught mist bar? Great way to give a sense of our efforts. And it's Aaron's put a lot of work pulling together this interface and getting it to look just right. Vortex, why do some players have trap checks on the quarter, some on the hour? So again, a bit of a technical limitation. Interesting history of the game from long ago. Everyone used to get their trap check every hour on the hour. And when we were monitoring server load, we'd almost need to bring more servers online for about 10 minutes, 5 minutes before and after the hour type thing. Because we'd see, whoa, everything would spike and then calm down. So it's an effort to sort of spread that out a little bit. That said, I wonder if in a more modern setting and as the game's evolved, changed, and been optimized over time, whether that needs to necessarily be the case anymore, but that's a whole other can of worms. So but, that's the history of why it is the way it is. Well, shall we take a look to what we got? Trivia. We'll wrap things up with trivia as it's already noon. Look at that. Noon snuck up on me, getting a bit of a late start. This week's trivia question has to do about a specific mouse. And according to the lore, it shows a flair for creative problem solving when reaching for more remote locations. There's a mouse out there. It might seem like a bit of a random pick, but I wonder if reading between the lines of what this mouse represents, it might make for an interesting trivia question. Now, I'll give you a hint. It's a mouse that typically dresses up during the winter hunt as well. So we'll be able to see this mouse dressed up for the winter hunt. It is not the Relic Hunter, although she's certainly a resourceful and creative mouse. A hunter's never been good with mice. You got to be reading those descriptions. Pulsating Pigeon, I appreciate the effort putting into new tools. That's good to hear. It's been a bit of an undertaking, a little behind the scenes, but I feel like it's good to share some progress along the way and start getting some initial impressions, feedback, sentiments to help guide us. Schmick is not the Realm Ripper, although that's a mouse that can traverse reality in an awfully interesting way. Snowbit says the Glazy Mouse. I don't think the Glazy Mouse is solving any problems. The Glazy Mouse is just hanging out. Just having a good time being glazy. Failed to catch the muscular muscle, which, I mean, how awesome of a pun is the muscular muscle mouse, all right? Chrono Mouse. No, not the Chrono Mouse. That's a bit of a time warping mouse. Why don't more mice dressed up, asks Mary. That's just a bit of time, right? There just isn't enough hours in the day, I guess. But it's interesting to hear feedback as well. Like, should that be something we prioritize? I think Mason has the correct answer. It is indeed the long-tail mouse. So the long-tail mouse shows creative problem solving and reaching for more remote locations, at least according to the description of the long-tail mouse. I'll put the link in the chat for your clicking convenience. There you go. There's a reward link from Larry in the chat as well. I like the long tail. This is Christmas decor there. It's festive attire. I thought that's awfully cute. And so I too wish we had a little bit more time to dress up a few more of the mice during the holidays. It was something we used to do quite frequently, but as the years have gone by, we've, I guess, whether it was a conscious decision or not, we decided to prioritize our art time in other areas. So it would be maybe nice to just do one new one every year. That can't be all. That can't be that big of a time sink, right? And you have a new one to look forward to every year. But it'd be interesting to see, what hunters think about that. Whether you think we should spend more time making new items, areas, and mice, or whether it's fun to just dress up, maybe just one of the mice every now and then. The Nibbler was a good guess as well. Yeah, the Nibbler is a bit of a sleuth. Well, it goes way back in the game's history as well. The Nibbler was an awfully fun publication, so to speak, that ran by the players, summarizing all that was going on in the kingdom, both in terms of the game development and releases, but also just what was popping on the forums back then, on those old Facebook message boards. A little summary, what tea was being sipped. It is indeed. It is extreme snowball charms. We can all get ready for a snowball fight. I don't recommend having a snowball fight with the extreme snowball charms. They look kind of pointy. I don't know. Make sure you wear safety glasses if you're going to be throwing those at anyone. I guess who's you're throwing at should be the one wearing the safety glasses. Yeah. Safety first. For your safety, I'm wearing the glasses while I throw a spiky ball at you. Sawzin asking, why does Larry have so many chrome temporal traps? That's a little bit of a cute Easter egg that was added during a Great Winter Hunt in the past, when hunters were tasked up with navigating wintry terrain with 2 turbine-powered sleds, and they were temporal shadow turbines pulling your sled. And a little bit of the joke at the time, that was the best shadow trap that everybody had their eyes, everyone would pine after a little bit, had their eyes set on earning that trap. I was like, well, can I keep these afterwards? It's like, no, sorry, they're on leash. You got to give them back. And Larry was the one kind of orchestrating that. That's why he had all those temporal shadow traps, and he was handing them out to hunters to use as sled, but they were on leash. It's like, all right, now give them all back, everybody. They're mine. You don't get to keep them. All right, well, hunters, I don't know why I pulled the Great Winter Hunt back up there. I think that'll do it for me as we approach, the hour mark here. So again, apologies for a little bit of a late start. Had a little trouble getting signed in and getting YouTube to give me the button to click to go live there, but we figured it out. Thanks for your patience at the start, everybody. Quick recap as well, get ready for the treasure map mega party. Make sure you got some scroll cases on hand, if you're going to be doing maps with your friends. Maybe see what your teammates want to do, what your map mates are interested in doing. That's starting up next week for 1 week. Got the Great Winter Hunt just around the corner as well. December 9, it'll be running into the new year as well. Some new rewards to earn. And Conclusion Cliffs is going to get 2026 started. Started with a bang here with the Conclusion Cliffs coming in 2026. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. I'll see you next time. Happy hunting.
2.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe. Snap. Ooh. Just when you think you're safe. Snap. Turns out I'm never safe.